let's get to it, y'all. So quick hits, y'all. Newsom's order to clear homeless camps is rubbing California leaders the wrong way. Check it out.
Newsom issued a controversial executive order clearing the way for the removal of homeless encampments. Now, the order comes after a ruling by the Supreme Court on the issue.
But there are some, including LA's mayor, who are not in support of this move. KCAL News reporter Jeff Nguyen has more from Venice, which has been dealing with encampments for years.
Walking along Venice Boulevard, you'll notice very few tents. A major change from 3 years ago during this encampment clearing. Mark Ryevek is the president of the Venice Stakeholders Association. He says there's one reason for it.
More enforcement.
He supports Governor Gavin Newsom's executive order issued Thursday instructing state officials to dismantle homeless encampments. This follows last month's U.S. Supreme Court ruling that cleared the way for cities to enforce bans on homeless people sleeping in public places without offering shelters.
We're done. It's time to move with urgency.
I'm very encouraged that he's taken a real broad approach to this statewide.
In a statement, LA Mayor Karen Bass says strategies that just move people along from one neighborhood to the next or give citations instead of housing do not work.
Karen Bass is the one that actually celebrated spending $165 million of y'all California tax dollars on permanent housing to the tune of $600,000 per unit. It's two issues that I have with this whole thing. Number one, I don't understand what Gavin Newsom is doing and why he just so happened to get reinvigorated when it comes to clearing out homeless camps. I don't get it. I'm very confused. I don't get it. And it doesn't really solve for the core of the problem. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I had a theory last week. I was wrong about the theory because the people in the chat, and thank you to the people in the chat, ultimately told me, they said, Anton, he can't become vice president because you can't have two people from California, which is something that I was unfamiliar with. It was something that I did not know. It was something that I was unfamiliar with. And so I didn't know that you could not have a vice president and a presidential candidate that is running for president of the United States of America as running mates, both from California. So that is news to me. I haven't actually researched it, but it is news to me, right? And so I'm trying to understand that. That's number one. Number two, Karen Bass in Los Angeles in particular has done nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing when it comes to solving for the homeless crisis that's inside of her city. And so let me just go ahead and look at the rest of this.
One neighborhood to the next or give citations instead of housing do not work. Shayla Myers is the senior attorney for the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles.
When Caltrans does an encampment clearing and closes off a public space next to a freeway, all it does is push those unhoused residents onto city sidewalks.
LA City Council member Tracy Park supports the governor's order. Around Rose and 3rd Avenues, District 11 has enforced a ban on tents. She says things are markedly better here than even 2 months ago because people are offered housing as well.
I take this as a mandate to get this work done, and I hope that my colleagues at LA City Hall and at the county level are listening up.
The governor's move comes about 100 days before the elections for control of the White House and Congress. Republicans have often used the homelessness crisis as a knock against liberal and progressive policies in California, while the Supreme Court ruling does allow individual cities to decide how to carry out enforcement.
I genuinely don't understand it. I don't understand what this is. It almost feels like it's a play that goes along with this whole election that's happening right now. And we're going to get into it. We're going to deep dive into everything that was happening over the weekend with regard to Kamala Harris, because I think that we need to start digging into the details so that we can give you guys help you make an informed decision as to who it is that you're voting for and why. All right. But that's what's happening over there in California with Gavin Newsom. The leaders are over there fighting with each other to try to figure it out. And I've always felt like Gavin Newsom is the absolute worst governor in the United States of America. But I'm going to keep my eye on that, and eventually we're going to figure it out. A man, a father, and a husband decided that he wanted to drink his wife's drink that just so happened to be roofied at a bar. Check it out.
Only on 2 tonight, a couple out for a few drinks at a local bar ended up being roofied. The husband and wife in their 40s went to their regular spot last weekend. Within minutes of leaving, the husband was drugged so severely he could barely even stand. Tonight, they're sharing the warning signs with KPRC2's Gage Golding in hopes that they can help you before you find yourself in a similar situation.
It was supposed to be just a normal night.
And it was just a normal night for Daniel and Melissa Zuniga. The high school sweethearts have been coming to Rudyard's on Waugh Drive in Montrose for more than 20 years. But that night took a turn like none before.
He had went to close out his tab and get another drink.
Security cameras inside the bar showing Daniel walking up to the bar and waiting to close out his tab. Back at the table, Melissa is waiting.
I had my drink.
Oh, wait a minute. They roofied her drink? Now, Anton is not one to go into identity politics. I'm not one to talk about identity politics, but y'all listen, family, you got to be down bad, bad. Red team going down. You got to be down. I thought that they was about to say that they roofied the other one drink, which you ain't really doing too much better with that one. Let me see what the other one looked like. Yeah, you down bad, bro. I don't, maybe it was a mistake. But come on, family, stop. Maybe they was trying to get to the husband. I don't know, but this is a wild story right here, guys. I'm just gonna say, we just gonna be honest. This is an absolutely For those of you that's new here to this show, you got to understand that we get easily distracted by digging into the details. We don't just look at the news and just speak at the news. We got to understand the full context behind who is trying to do what. Who is trying to do what? What is happening here?
While sitting and texting their daughter, a man walked up and sat right next to Melissa. When she set her drink down, he said, "Hi." All right, that kind of creeped Melissa out, right? So she was on high alert, but it's what he said next that she'll never forget. "I think you're stuck with me tonight."
So I grabbed my drink and I told him I'm going to call my husband.
What's even creepier is the man walks right by her husband waiting at the bar. Melissa picking him out of the crowd while watching back this video. But still, they didn't realize what was going on or about to happen.
I was like, well, I didn't want to waste $8, so I grabbed a drink and I just swung it. I took a big swig.
By the time they were walking out the door, Daniel starting to fall apart. And by the time they got home in the energy corridor,
my mom had texted me upstairs and she was like, "Can you please come help me get your dad from the car?" Yes, we had to drag him in. He was crawling on the floor.
Daniel was violent, cussing, and nearly unrecognizable.
We thought he had just been very drunk because we'd never seen him like this.
When he woke up the next morning, Daniel didn't remember a thing. He took an over-the-counter drug test, which lit up like a Christmas tree for things he never takes. The only plausible reasoning, he was roofied, but the drugs weren't even meant for him.
It wasn't even for me. He wanted to hurt my wife.
That's wild. Listen, if they didn't have... If they didn't have camera footage, I would have never believed it. If they didn't have camera footage, I would have never, ever believed it. But boy, listen, y'all, I guess y'all really do be getting movement from everybody else. But listen, be careful about your drink. And also, I want to also say that it's just so hard to believe sometimes what y'all doing. I also want to say that you can't hold the establishment accountable for stuff that the patrons then do inside of those places. That could have been somebody from anywhere that just picked that particular establishment, said that I want to go whale surfing, and then he decided to roofie somebody's drink. So, you know what I'm saying? Take that into consideration. And then last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, Optum Healthcare is laying off hundreds of workers in Southern California. Take a look. It's crazy.
New at 5, Optum Healthcare has announced hundreds of layoffs across several locations here in Southern California and even some department closures. NBC4's Christian Casares is live at one of those facilities in Redlands. Christian.
Well, Annabelle, I can tell you the healthcare companies said that they're expecting to roll out these layoffs in 8 waves beginning in the fall, but they didn't give a reason as to why they are doing the layoffs. I can tell you the urgent care facility that you see here behind me, they are on that list. And according to several patients that we talked to today, they say they're concerned about how this will impact their quality of care.
Optum Healthcare announcing this week major cutbacks to their medical services and staff. The company laying out their plan in this notice to the state's Employment Development Department, identifying 14 locations impacted across Southern California.
I hope the service will continue to be of high standard like we've been getting.
We met Mwapa Sharma as she was leaving her medical appointment on Thursday at the Optum Urgent Care Center in Redlands, where according to the notice, 35 workers will be laid off.
It's difficult to get appointments because, there's not enough workers as it is. So like after my first knee replacement, they didn't schedule my appointment until a week later, which impacted my healing.
According to the notice, 525 layoffs are expected across several locations like Pasadena, Long Beach, Los Angeles, and Redlands, many of them at urgent care facilities. The notice also stating many of the positions are remote.
It's bad because as I'm getting older, I have certain things that don't work as well as they did when I was younger. So sometimes I need some attention.
The notice also states the department closures happening in El Segundo and Cerritos include urgent care and physician offices. In an email, a spokesperson for the parent company United Health Group saying, "We continually review the capabilities and services we offer to meet the growing and evolving."
Listen, we could go ahead and just summarize this and say that they're not profitable. I think that people feel as though they're entitled to a certain level of health care and customer service and, oh man, we need to have a hospital in our area. What y'all are starting to see is the downfall and the decline of the United States of America from the inside out. And it's happening in your very neighborhood. So then when I see, and we're going to start to get into this in the other parts of the stream, when I see people voting based off of identity politics, for example, or they align with a group of people based off of things that they can't control versus making informed decisions on how it's going to affect your family, right? When I see police officers and a defunding of the police, when I see hospital closures, when I see people not being able to pay their bills, when I see different things that's happening throughout the society, we can't just then go down and say, well, executive compensation or, they should be taking care of more people inside of the. No, listen. Everything is looked at from a financial perspective. Everything, even your hospital systems, your healthcare coverage, how much they're going to pay you at your job, the value that you add, the degree program that you go into. Have you not figured out? And it's so funny that I listen to grown adults making bad decisions on a regular basis. Have you not figured out that since birth, since you was 11 years old, when you were in elementary school, that kids would tease you for the clothes that you wear, that the level of education and whether or not you was going to be a latchkey kid and your mama wasn't really at home because she had to go and work 2 jobs. Have y'all not figured out that every single thing, when you went to college and they gave you credit cards and you went and ran it up, now you got a bunch of debt and then you went and got a bunch of student loans thinking that was going to save you? Have you not figured out that, don't get me into preaching. This is quick hits. We're going to save that. We're going to get into that later on. I'm going to get to it, but let me help y'all to understand something. Every single decision that you make is a butterfly effect on what's going to happen in not only your life, everybody else's life, and your children's life. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Quick Hits. Y'all about to get me started on a Monday. I don't want to start too early.